So guys, you have joined us for our 115 Q&A. We have a trio of guests for you guys. I guess we could call you guys the men behind the masks. It's kind of the common thread through here. Please welcome Quinn Lord, Tom Morga, and Waddell. So we're gonna have a little bit of time together, guys. This is your chance to ask questions. If there's something you've always wanted to know, if there's a story, maybe I heard this, can you verify what? Ask whatever questions you want to ask. They'll answer every question, and if they don't know the answer, they're gonna make it up on the fly.
Absolutely, I'll lie like a rock.
And you will never know the difference. All right.
Just make it sound good.
Yes, it'll be believable.
Okay.
So kind of kicking things off, as you guys are thinking of questions and such. First of all, we'll just kind of go down the line. But are you at all, I don't know if surprised is the right word, the fact that Trick or Treat never got the treatment it deserved? Like, it was kind of buried by the studio. It kind of, it had to find that cult following, even more so than cult films usually. You know what I mean? Like, tell us, are you surprised at all about like how much the horror community has like embraced this movie and been like, this was good. Why didn't you guys do something with this?
Well, regardless of how it was released and marketed and advertised and all that, I still think it's quite an achievement for it to accomplish the cult following it has.
Yeah.
So I don't really see like how I can't really be mad about like how it was treated and all that, because it
found its audience.
Yeah, it did.
Yeah.
And that's, can't ask for anything more than that, really.
Was that the first on-screen role that you had?
In a movie, yes.
How was that different for you, going in that young into a film set?
Quite intriguing, because I hadn't really done anything that big before. And yes, I went through the auditioning process at that age, except this time I got the breakdown of, well, essentially Demon Child. I was like, oh yeah, let's just go for that then.
So be myself.
A little bit, yeah. I was like, okay, all these things that I've been taught not to do, I'll just do that.
Yeah.
Yeah. So running around, just jumping out, scaring people, all that kind of stuff. Making sure that the grown-ups lost track of me despite me wearing bright orange, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's a lot of fun.
It's Sam has kind of become an icon, a Halloween icon, a horror icon.
And that's really surreal to me.
Yeah. Why is that?
Because I'm like, that's my childhood.
Yeah.
How did that become? Oh, okay. It's not in my control whether it is iconic or not.
I was gonna say, do you feel like you don't own a piece of that your childhood in that respect? Or?
Oh, I wouldn't say that. But I just think it's kind of not necessarily strange, but surreal. I think because it's like, well, it's a good thing, but I'm like, whoa, no one else really has that. So like, recognizing how unique that is, and never taking it for granted.
That's awesome.
That's kind of cool.
Tom, talk to us a little bit. You've been in a number of horror films.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk about, and then Lee can certainly jump in on this as well. Now that the Academy has announced that they're going to recognize stunt work, I think it was the 2028 Academy Awards, they're going to start giving out an award for stunt work. Can you talk to us a little bit about how that makes you feel in that? Is it it's finally there? I wish they would have done this sooner. This is going to open up some opportunities for folks. Kind of talk to us a little bit about what your thoughts are with the Academy finally saying, okay, stunt work actually deserves its own award.
Well, I think the stunt community has always wanted to have a recognition because it's, something they don't get the recognition they usually should have. But then again, there's another point of view, and a lot of us think that it's good for us to have an Academy Award for the department. And if they do give an Academy Award, it should be for the stunt coordinator. That's the head of the department. Even though somebody did a great stunt, I would rather them give that award to a stunt coordinator, because if you start giving awards to stunt individuals, you'll have people out there years down the line are going to be competing with each other. We've already had one stuntman that was killed trying to do a stunt that he'd already done off a building, and he said, let me go to the top and jump. That was years and years ago, but he wanted to be really great, so he was trying to invent something really big so he'd get all the recognition, and it killed him. And this is not the kind of thing we want amongst our community, have competition because I'm doing a better stunt than you did. But it's good that we're at least going to get a recognition as an Academy Award, because if you look at all the trailers they put on for films, what do they show? They show the action because that's what's going to bring people in. So yeah, we should get something for that.
Yeah.
But I think you need to be careful how they do it.
Yeah, that's a good point. You know, box office wise.
Yeah.
If you look at the big box office, like what makes big box, it's a stunt action film. Right? And so if you look at the department that generates the most box office income, it's the stunt department, coupled with special effects. And it's a big community, guys. It's all clip. You know, it's a big collaborative when you get on those big giant films with those. But at the end of the day, action is what brings the box. And that's fact. I mean, you can go in and look at the bottom line and how it all pans out. And, you know, it's great that they finally did that. Long time coming. I'm with Tom though. They need to go to the department, you know, and let the stunt coordinators and producers knock it out. I just want to show up and do a good job and make my paycheck.
Yeah, I know. We have a stunt award. The Taurus has a stunt award that they give to stunt people for their stunts. We have our own little, deal we do. So we have an award ceremony for us. But as far as the academy, it would be nice if they maintained it for the department head.
I want to talk a little bit also about, again, being the man behind the mask. Not only are you having to turn in a performance as actors, but again, there is that layer of now, you know, a lot of times you're doing stunts as well. Vision may be limited. You don't have your tools, right? We are visual beings. We look at faces. That's what we recognize. We see faces and everything. See the face of Jesus and a piece of toast, whatever. We look for faces, and you guys did not. You're stripped of that, right? Between you guys and voice actors, it feels like you guys are putting in the most work. Definitely have the hardest jobs on a set when it comes to being actors, because everybody else is playing off of you guys, but you're limited in the tools that you can use. So you can kind of talk to us a little bit about how you try to use maybe other parts of your body or other ways to kind of, you know, whether it's I picked up this idiosyncratic, you know, I'm just going to kind of tilt my head to the side or whatever. Can you kind of talk to us about fleshing out a character without being able to use all of your physical tools?
That's for you.
It's for all of you.
Okay. Well, I can say something. I know that people often ask me, how did you get into the character and all that? But a stuntman, if you've been at it for a long enough time, you do action all the time. You do fights, you do falls, you do exciting stuff. So for you to say, okay, I want you to be a guy in a mask and I want you to go kill people and make it look scary, it's not that hard. It's only because we do action. I mean, if he throws a punch and I know how to react, or if I can hit him or do that, that's the kind of thing you need to do. And when you're wearing a mask, it's your attitude. It's basically the way you move. And we practice that kind of thing. And it's the way you look at somebody and when you do it. It makes a difference. I took mine when I was in school for a while, and I learned a couple things that you can do for body motion. And also, when you're a stuntman and you're learning how to, say, do a fight, you don't do a fight like you see in a boxing ring, because a lot of times you miss the punch that knocks the guy out. You got to demonstrate. I mean, if I'm going to hit somebody like this, in a movie, I bring my elbow up, I come across, I show it to you so you can see it. And these are the kind of things we learn. And when you're capable of doing that kind of stuff and you build a skill in it, it's not that difficult than to wear a mask. The problem with a mask is your vision. You got a little peephole to look through. I've done a lot of different characters, and we all put on glue and stuff, and that's your main problem, is to make it work with all the stuff you're carrying and what you can see. But it's not that difficult to get into the character, in my opinion, because we're stunt guys to start with, and that's what we do. The scariest thing you can give us is dialogue, and we don't have to have it.
Yeah, that's hilarious. And that's true. So like, when we pulled Ghostface together, which happened 20 minutes before we rolled camera, when I sat down with Wes and hatched that character, you know.
Which is still amazing to me every time you say that.
Yeah, which is really serious. You know, and Tom's right. So like, when I took that part as an actor, right, and then relied on my stunt.
You're training
Stunt, sure, yeah. So like moving and all that stuff was second. I always had the actor first until I got my hands on Drew. Then I got to take care of my leading lady.
Yeah.
And then I go to stunts, make sure I take care of her, make sure she gets on the ground, then I could just, and it was just easy to switch tracks, right? But because I had such a base in it, and, you know, because I came in stunts first, actor second, that time all I did was flip the script. Actor first, rely on my muscle memory, because I know how to move and fall and all that stuff. And then be an actor first, rely on my physical dynamics. It'll carry me until I got my hands on her. Things had to get serious, right? Make sure she's safe.
Now it's safety first.
Right, and then once I got that retractable knife, Tom knows, he's been in business long enough. Those retractable knives
Don't always retract.
don't always
well.
retract.
Yeah.
And so like she has this patch on it, it was really small, and I was laser focused. If you go back and watch that, you'll see my head turning, you know, that's under Wes's direction, but I mean, you could actually see my head, and I'm like, there it is, and I hit it. Because half inch off, man, and I'm gonna tear up Drew.
Yeah.
There goes my career, right? And you know, fortunately, I'd worked with her a few times before that, and she's a really super actress, and she's way game. She's a very physical actress, so that helped a lot. But so yeah, you put on that mask, and I relied on my physical prowess to pull it off stunt-wise, and then obviously got Wes over here giving me my direction. So, and then we're at night, and you can't see, and more, you know, so it was a very technical shot. But at the time, we're like, ooh, let's make a movie. Let's, you know, I'm just having a blast. Until I looked at it in post, I'm like, God, there's a lot of elements on that. But in the time, you're just flowing and having fun, and you know, just dialed in. It was really good. I mean, we shot that in one. It was a one take.
Wow.
Yeah, we did a block for camera lights, timings, and they're like, all right, let's do one. And you know, we did one. And I'm like, great, let's not do that again.
Yeah.
So for you, but I mean, so being so young, but yet you're embodying this character, and kind of the thread I hear a lot is that, yeah, we don't necessarily have the tools, we don't have the dialogue, so maybe this is kind of what builds the horror community and why we have the connection we feel that we have with these characters, is because so much of this is how we're interpreting your performances, because you're not telling us, you're showing us, and oh yeah, I know something, I can connect to that, but you at such a young age have to put on this mask, and again, you don't have all the tools that are only so developed because you are only 8 years old. Tell us a little bit about that challenge.
Well, you're framing it in the sense of that I didn't have all the tools. I like to think of it as I didn't have all those things to process in my brain at the time. So,
Unless I had to think about it.
Like
Yeah.
what I'm saying, it's like, oh, dialogue is the scariest thing. Well, I don't have to think about dialogue because
Yeah.
Sam doesn't speak. So I'm like, okay, so that's one weight off my shoulder. Oh, it's a mask, so I don't have to, like, you know, worry about what face I'm making. Okay, so I can look wherever
So it was
I
more
want.
freeing, maybe.
A little bit,
Okay.
and then that also put all my actions under a microscope, so I got to really focus on that. And then, of course, like a couple of times, of course, not all of my stunts, well,
Right.
not all of the stunts were done by me,
Right.
but I was interested in doing them, and so I was learning how to do, you know, XYZ stunt that I was allowed to do. Wasn't able to crawl on the ceiling, unfortunately. Something about, you know, don't want to
Some liability thing or something, yeah.
I wanted to do it, but yeah. I think later on, like probably by the time I was like 11 or 12, I was actually doing like more wire work and stunts and like other projects. But yeah, at that time, I was just kind of like learning the ropes, and having that kind of cognitive weight off of my mind really helped for me to just balance absolutely everything without any sort of like stress of, oh, I have to remember this, or oh, I have to look a certain way, or act.
I had to act.
like facial act. and all
Yeah.
that. But no, I put all the emotions under a microscope, and that kind of like stuck with me to this day. And it's kind of interesting because, like, sure, you might train yourself in like, oh, I do dialogue really well, like it's second nature. That's not so much the case with me, but all of the minuscule things I learned on set of Trick or Treat, that really stuck with me. So it's like all these little miniature microscopic movements and like how I walk and stuff like that. That's the kind of stuff that became the second nature as far as like training my brain and stuff, which is interesting.
Really good. Yeah, thank you. You guys have any questions? Otherwise, I'll sit here and talk all day because you guys are great. Yeah.
I've got a question for Mr. Morga. So on Friday 5, it of course was directed by Danny Steinman, who was known for other things like some down and dirty adult type movies. Was there anything, like any wild stories or anything from that shoot?
Not really. I don't have any really wild stories. I know that Dick Warlock, as you might be familiar with, was the coordinator. He's the one that brought me in, and he had a great sense of humor. If anybody saw the shots where there was a flashback, one of them, Tommy's looking down from the top of his window down in the yard, and he sees he's standing there. Well, below his window is the kitchen door, and of course the camera's shooting way above that, looking at me, so they don't see Dick, who comes out of the door, looks at me, who's standing there, supposed to be very stoic and a killer. He turns around and flashes me. And I'm just standing here like this, being crazy, trying to hold this gun. He's mooning me.
You know, he should make that a signing piece. I'd get a copy of that one. That's hilarious. Great story. That's Dick. He's a good dude. Funny story.
That's about the best story I got.
That's very good. Yeah, it's hilarious.
Other questions? Yeah.
Just for any of you, when you guys get a scene, you're told, okay, here's the actor, you need to take them down. How much is you guys being told exactly how that's gonna happen versus you guys kind of come up with your own specialized way of moving or, you know, getting from A to B?
Well, I'll tell you, most of that stuff is in the script, and it says, you know, the two parties come together, they break through the door, and there they are, two gangs, and a big fight ensues. And that's what you see on the script. So they give it to the coordinator, and he's going to have a big fight. And so he makes it up. Shows it to the director, says, how do you like that? And he'll say, well, could you do a little more? And they work it together. But a stunt man and a stunt coordinator usually has quite a bit of input to do whatever that action is. And if you're going to tackle an actor or do something with an actor, like you were saying,
Yeah.
you really make sure that you know what you're doing, that they know what you're doing, that you rehearsed it, talk to the director so he'll like it, it'll work out correctly. So there is a lot of creativity going into putting that stunt on film, or the action with the actor.
Yeah. So like if you go back to the scene when I come out the window and hit Drew, right? You know, normally if I was taking Tom off a horse or if I take him off the sidewalk, I'd wrap him up and we'd go off together and take some of that energy away and we both hit the ground. Or if it was like a leading lady or even a second girl, I might roll and let me take the brunt as we explode out the other side and bodies flying. On Drew, and I asked Wes and Tony, our stunt coordinator, I'm like, how do you guys want to see this, right? Because my first instinct is like, I'll just wrap her, I'll roll her up, I'll take the hit, and she could literally walk away. They're like, nah, it's not that big. So you see me come out the window, and it's like flag football. It's like, ding. It's very delicate, right? But Drew's such a great actress, she sold it, right? So all I get is I gave her the energy to do her own action, and she just went with it. So when you guys watch the playback, since you get all the cheat notes, go watch that. You'll see me come out and how I kind of hit her. All I do is I turn her, and I was really hands off.
So it's more professional wrestling at that point.
Yeah.
It's like protecting,
I mean,
protecting your partner in the ring on the set.
So like back in the day, if I took somebody off a horse, like right back in Western's days, I would take them with the horse. I'd hit them high, we'd wrap, and we'd get in that saddle, man, and we'd go off the other side. And obviously can't do that with Drew, but she'd be game for it.
Yeah.
And so, that was Wes's call on the spot. It didn't matter to me outside of just making sure she was okay. If they wanted me to wrap her up, I'd wrap her up. If they wanted me to sit there and think, and I don't care.
Yeah.
Whatever Wes that keeps her safe, and that director at that time wanted to see. And same with Tony, who was our stunt coordinator, and they worked it out. And then I just delivered.
Yeah.
So when coming up with movements for Ghostface, like especially the beginning scene with him creeping through the house, is that something that was something you had input in, or was that more of a Wes thing, or was it both of you?
Yeah, both.
Yeah.
In a sense, here's how the conversation goes. We're 20 minutes, I'm sitting in the wardrobe, I don't have the mask on, we're sitting in the house, which is full of smoke, because they've already started the sequence. And, I was doing all that actor BS, like, what's the motivation? And we go around for about, literally, 15 to 20 minutes. And I'm like, well, what's this guy do? What is that? Because, I had read the script, but there's really not, because this is and we shot in sequence, which never happens.
Yeah.
The first 2 weeks was like as you see it in the movie.
Really?
Yeah. And so we go, I'm like, tell me about this guy, what's he doing? And he goes, one thing I want you to remember, Lee, this guy moves like a phantom. That's all he had to say. I'm like, well, I know how phantoms move, right? Because I went back to original black and white Universal horror,
Yeah.
Phantom of the Opera.
Yeah.
That's what he's based on.
Okay.
So like when you see a phantom move, they're freaking aggressive and quick and swift.
Yeah.
There's no
jerky
trip.
movements.
Yeah, it's right? It's like a...
It's a complete 180 from
you like your Jasons and your Michaels.
Well, yeah, because you know, and Jason and Michaels are dynamic. They're, you know, they're stoics, right?
Yeah.
You
Right,
know,
right.
And I always bust everybody's balls, especially CJ, who I just love, right?
Yeah.
And you know, because CJ always talks about my little knife, which, you know, that's a. And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, yeah. I said, yeah. And everybody's like, and so I'm like, yeah. I said, no, I'm a more evolved creature than you. And he's like, I said, I can run. So that was a true origin of it. So Wes goes, hey, he moves like a phantom. I'm like, all right, I can wrap my mind around that, how a
Right.
phantom in my interpretation moves. And phantoms in my interpretation were swift, aggressive, no tripping on coattails, and just, you know, predator prey.
I always thought it added to the horror element, especially at that opening, because that's one of the best opening scenes of any horror movie I think ever. And I always thought that added the element of him. Just she looked, you know, through the window from the outside, and it just kind of has him like looking forward. And I
Yeah, it's
thought that
very
was-
great. And really, it's easy to act that, you know, because it's a quick, tight shot. But it's
Sure.
really Wes's vision and Wes's editing,
Right.
you know, because you get those. Because that's when you're introduced to the character. Prior to
Right.
that, it's Roger's voice, Ghostface, on the
Right,
phone,
right.
setting that theater of the mind, you know. And now you actually get a glimpse of what this thing is.
I'll ask you, because I asked the guys this a while back. Have you figured out who is Ghostface in each scene? Like, wait, is this Skeet or is this Matt? Is this
Great.
supposed to be Skeet or
Great,
Matt?
I mean,
It's you
and
every
I
time,
wish the
but-
guys were here because I love watching
Yeah,
them run
they
around.
figured it
You know,
out.
like, well, who killed him? Like, but, and I'll have to go back and double check this. So in the beginning scene, you'll hear Roger. I say Roger. Now here's a quick anecdote for you guys. Roger's actually on set with us, right?
Yeah.
And nobody sees Roger. I mean, he's sequestered. And it's raining outside. And he's underneath the freaking window getting rained on with a piece of cardboard on his hand doing dialogue.
Yeah.
That's a true story. And so nobody just sees Roger for like years. I think it was like 2 or 3 years before they ever saw Roger. If you guys met Roger Jackson, right? Roger L?
I know.
Roger, if you ever meet him, compared to the voice that he portrays, and he looks like an insurance salesman. Sweet guy,
Looks
he's got a little
nothing
round.
like-
Yeah, I mean, it's like hearing a radio DJ and then meeting him.
Yeah.
It doesn't hook up sometimes. Yeah, that's how Roger is. And he's just hilarious because he does about a bazillion voices.
Yeah.
And we'll be doing photo ops, and he's doing voices the whole time. I'm trying to be somewhat in character, you know, just quiet and a little aggressive. He's cracking lines the whole way through, and I'm like, Roger. So there's a line in that sequence, in that opening, where he talks about Blondie, right? And then you hear that same line dialogue, not the same, but you hear the word Blondie again, back at all the way at the end in the kitchen sequence. And Billy's talking about Blondie. So that's the tie-in of it. And then also, in my opinion, Billy is much more of a butcher
Yeah.
than Stu.
I agree.
Much more violent, much more. And so you look at the number I did on Steve and Casey in the beginning. Violent. I mean, that was Jack the Ripper type stuff.
Yeah.
So that's my take on it. Yeah.
So there are breadcrumbs. If somebody was
Yeah,
willing
but
to
at the
sit
end of
down
the
and try
day,
to- yeah.
at the end of the day, Kevin Williamson wrote it ambiguous,
Yeah.
right? He didn't. There's like
Yeah.
play it as Billy. No, that never
Yeah.
really
Yeah.
happened. But when you look at the dialogue from front to end and all that stuff, I'm like, and how the kills actually went down. I mean, I'm a Billy guy. That's my bet.
Yeah.
And I do that only to piss off Matthew.
Other questions? Yeah.
I was just curious if Mr. Morga had any stories about Ghostbusters on the set of Ghostbusters.
Well, first, the main story is that we were sure this is a bomb. It was when computer graphics were new, and they were saying, okay, we're going to be looking at the walls, and they'll be doing something, and later on they'll put some
They'll
things.
put something in there.
And, oh, really? And the coordinator code to that, while we were shooting, he says, listen, guys, he says, these guys are not organized at all. I don't know what they're doing, but they're not having, usually have a little production meeting and talk about what you're gonna do the next day and have things set up. Well, they weren't quite doing that very well. And so the coordinator comes, listen, guys, just make sure you cash your check as soon as you get it.
Wow.
Because we didn't think it was gonna be anything, but it fooled us. It turned out.
Who's the stunt coordinator on that?
That was, she's,
Was I here?
no. I don't even think of it for,
Association guy?
no, he He was an independent guy, and he'd done a couple other shows. So life of me,
I'll have to go look it up.
think about
Somebody
it.
look up stunt coordinator on Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
I know who it was.
yeah. Check it out. My memory.
I don't remember. I mean, 'cause I know Tony worked on it because he was Stay-Pup, right? So
Yeah.
Tony, but I don't know if you were there when he shot that.
Yeah, no. I was with George and the Devils from the Busters.
Yeah.
We didn't do a
Bill,
lot of
Bill
acting.
Couch.
Bill
Yeah,
Couch, there you go.
Right. Yeah. Such
Other
a deal.
questions? You guys have got good questions.
What else you guys got?
I got a question for Mr. Morgan. On Halloween 4, I've read a bunch of different things online, so I was kind of wanting to know, like, I know you were like in the garage scene, you did a lot of the work there. What happened with, as far as your departure from that film, what happened there, just kind of as a confirmation?
I would take anybody's idea.
Oh.
No, nobody knows for sure. I was doing the show. I had no idea that we had started out. The first scene we did was in the at a gas station, and I was getting shot. And Loomis was saying, "Michael," and he shoots me. And we set that thing up. The coordinator put we talked about, well, we're gonna do the shot. So what I'll do, he says, I'll put a rope around your waist. They won't see it. I'll just pull you right out of frame so that when the editor's working, you see Michael, then he's gone, and you don't see him, you know, because Michael, you're not gonna hurt him.
Right.
And so that's what we decided we do for the scene, you know, it's the action and shoot and bam, bam, and pull me out of frame, and then all they do is cut that little piece out. So we shot the first thing, and I went out of frame, and they said, cut, and the director says, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Well, what do you mean?" "Well, you just got shot. Why are you, he's supposed to fall or something?" And, "Well, no, this is Michael." He says, no, have him go up against the counter, knock some of those dishes down, and da-da-da-da-da. Okay, so I took a big shot, boom, hit the plates, fell down, and boom, boom. And I guess when they went and looked at dailies, the shots they did for the day, the producer says, "What's going on?" "What's this?" And I don't know for sure, but I think that might have been a little realization for the director at that time that, "Oh, what did I do?" "Yeah, well, this stunt guy, you know, I don't know, and I don't know if that happened or not, but I get the feeling like maybe that was part of it." The producer said, "Well, who are we doing Michael? He doesn't know what he's doing." That could have been it. And I don't know, I have to take my own idea from what I think, and then I've heard other things too. Whatever it wasn't a big deal. At the time, these horror movies weren't that big. They were little independent, small budget films.
Right.
So I'm hearing that they had no problem, and at that time they took the camera department, they took them and replaced the DP and some other people, and they said, well, we'll take a new Michael too. So they brought George Rover in, and I'm in the room. I finished doing the shot where I take the double barrel shotguns and impale the girl into the door. And George is coming, and I heard, "Oh, he's here." I said, "Well, I'll go say it." They said, no, wait, George, he's in the other room. They were trying to keep us apart, like they thought it was gonna be a big deal, you know, like we might. And I'm saying, "Oh, really? Okay." Well, then finally we get done. I go, "Hey, George, hi, how you doing?" "Yeah, I don't know, why are you here?" "I don't know, I just called me in. I don't understand it. I don't know." "Okay, well, listen, have a good time with us. It goes well for you." "I had a good time." "Yeah, we'll do fine." "Yeah, I think I've got another call anyway, so I'll see you later." That was our attitude.
Oh, well.
And you know, and he did the show, and all of a sudden that was a new beginning.
Yeah.
And you aren't kidding.
Yeah.
So who knew?
Right.
You know.
So that's like firing the offensive coordinator when the
Yeah,
team goes
right.
3-12 or whatever.
Right.
Yeah, let's fire everybody else on the coaching staff except for the head
I
coach.
thought you were talking about Cowboys for a minute, sorry guys.
Other questions? You guys are good. We have just a few minutes left, so if you guys have a thought or a question or something you want to know about or hear. All right, well, let me ask you guys this. Is there anyone from the work that you've done, a particular story that you've been waiting to tell, you just wish somebody would ask the question? So I wish somebody would ask about this, because I've got a story about that. Is there anything you can think of that you've not been asked or that you would love to talk about, just haven't had the opportunity to do so? This is your chance.
They've asked everything I can think of.
Yeah.
Really?
Things I haven't thought of.
Yeah.
I don't have
Protecting
anything
the
that they
guilty.
haven't missed, that's for sure. Myself.
Man, I so blessed to do these things. People are, I mean, the questions are great, you know, you always get something new.
Yeah.
You know.
You'll learn a lot, just listen to the fans.
Yeah, it seems like the horror community knows more at times about.
And it does, you know,
the little
Tom and I were
things.
talking about this earlier in Quinn, which is like, the horror community is the best community, because we do it all. We do Comic-Con, anime, I mean, all that stuff, right? But the horror guys and girls, which I love, okay, they're just cut different. It's
Yeah.
more of a vibe than any of them together, right? So I love that.
Mhm.
But the horror community, because they're so passionate, right, about whatever character they follow, you know, plural. Here's what I love about the horror community, is they know more about Ghostface than I ever do and ever will, right?
Yeah.
And especially the avid collectors that get into the mask, right? How many there's freaking, come February, we got 7 different variations of masks and a few in there, right? They're like, oh, that was the blah, blah, blah mask. I'm like, oh, what are you guys talking about? What? It's like a white mask to me. Like when we shot the original, I had no idea that we switched masks. I mean, it was just a white mask, stick it on, let's go. And they're like, oh yeah, you switched masks. I'm like, I did not, that was there, what are you talking about? And they point this stuff out. So how many variations of freaking your mask do you have now, right? How many variations of freaking Jason? How many variations of Mike Myers, right? And so that's really cool. And I love that the horror fans direct that knowledge, you know? Because as an actors and stunt guys, we're not that invested,
Yeah.
right? We play the part.
It's
It's
a
great.
job.
Yeah, it's a
and
job,
then
right?
You go to the next show, yeah.
Yeah, so like if I get on, let's say I'm blessed enough to get on number 8, right? Okay, let me go do whatever that might be, and let me try to steal the mask, which I won't be able to now.
It's all one
We wrecked that
one.
after the second one.
Yeah.
So, you know, so it's really cool. I love the horror community because they drive that. You know, because it's really about you guys that drive and push that stuff and get into variations and ask questions like, was it Billy or was it Stu? I don't know. But it causes me pause to go back and look at the cool stuff like that.
Yeah.
So I dig that about the horror community. And the horror community's better at that than any of the other ones.
Yeah.
It's better than the anime, it's better than Comic-Con, all of it. And, you know, that's it. Sort of, out of all the cons I do, I love my horror cons. That's where it's at.
Yeah.
So thank you guys for that.
Yeah, you know more about it than we do.
By far.
We know about how to make movies, but you'll ask us questions about how we do that, which is not as unusual. Most people think, you know, why did you do that for the, well, it was in the script. That's what I'm supposed to do. You know, what brought you to that? The director?
Yeah, you know, we show, hopefully do a good job.
But I'll tell you, we're sitting up here talking to you like we're a celebrity, and the only reason we're here is because we happen to get lucky enough to get cast in a role. The whole thing about all the conventions and all the people that like it, it's because the fans, they're the people who decide what is good. You can make any movie you want, you can produce any product you want, but whoever it goes to, they're the people who will decide whether it's good or bad. So we have to thank you for letting us sit here. That's the real bottom line.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and the franchises speak for that. When a producer or director, they get it right once, then you get number 2, right? Or maybe 3 or 4. In my case, we got 7 now. What's Halloween at? 12, 13,
Yeah,
something like that.
13 actually.
Right. So there you go. There. What's Jason at?
That's 12.
Right, a bunch, right? You know, so it's fan driven. And here they're like, oh, do you think they're gonna do number 8? I'm like, if it makes money, I guarantee they'll do number 8,
Yeah.
right? Or 12 or 14 or 22 or whatever the you know, and Hollywood's a rough business, but if it's making money, they're gonna make a movie.
Yeah.
You know? And
Well, there's one thing that's for sure about us, we will always consume the product, no matter how bad or good it is.
Sometimes the worse it is,
If
the better.
it becomes
Yeah.
a franchise, it
well,
feels
so
like
that's the drive
we're gonna be
right?
there for Scream 12, even
Yeah,
if it
they're
just
gonna,
starts
like-
actually sucking.
And what's so cool about it is like, just because of the hardcore fans, everybody's gonna see it.
Yeah.
And then they may go, oh, this is a piece of crap, right? But they've already made $100 million.
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, let's not do that script again. I'll give you an example. Scream 5, hated it. And then they go, well, and then you know, everybody gets online and just butchers it about this, that, and everything else, and they tweak the character and bring him back a little bit more on Scream 6, right? In my opinion,
Yeah.
they gave Ghostface his balls back, right?
Yeah.
He went back to a phantom, he went back to a killer,
Yeah.
a butcher, and they gave him that energy back. and it did really well box-wise. You know, it still had some holes you could drive a truck through, I don't care. But here we are into number 7, so who knows where that rabbit hole is gonna go, so.
Yeah, when they did 5 for Friday, nobody liked it. It was, you know, you had a copycat. What's this? Where's Jason? I mean, with the whole movie, watching Jason, finally you're telling you it wasn't him. They didn't like it. But then, as years go by, we have more movies, and there's more sequels to it. People started looking back and say, you know, that 5 did have some neat kills, and it did this and it did that. So pretty soon, I know when I first met fans, they didn't particularly like it. They were excited, but now years later, they said, yeah, we like 5. So I'm glad for
Well,
that.
that's a good point. And then, like, and I'll put it out to the horror fans, right? So we've had the blessing, and Quinn, you're old enough now too, right? It's multi-generational, right?
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So now we're in, like, Scream's old enough, which is about 3 generations. Mike and Jason, definitely 3 generations, almost 4 at this point, right?
Yeah.
I mean, how old's 55?
78, so, yeah.
You know,
Almost 78.
Yeah, so, I mean, that's a 4-generation film.
Yeah.
Right? And here's what I find, so like, when I have somebody younger come by and say, like, oh, they've seen all 6, I'll go, hey, what's your favorite one? They'll like, everybody says 1, which is totally cool, and I love that, right? But then they'll like jump to number 4, right? I'm not a big fan of 4, but everybody loves Hayden, and I love Hayden too, she's cool, right? But so it's a generational thing, right? And so like now a later generation, young generation likes that more, maybe 4, 5, and 6 generation. Because I'm like, name them 1 through 6. What do you got? They're like, oh, 1, 3, 4.
Yeah.
You know, 6, 2, or something like that. And so I find that it's being done as generational. The newer generation that gets into the franchise, wherever they jump in at, they like that. Kind of like where they jumped in at. Does that make
Yeah,
sense?
Absolutely. No,
Yeah.
My brother who's here as well, we're only 4 years apart. I grew up with Star Wars. Like
Yeah.
The proper Star Wars.
Right. The first, right.
Yeah,
3,
he
4, and
saw,
5.
he saw the prequels in theaters first.
Yeah.
And that's his, and now our kids, it's the sequels, you know? So yeah, I think it's whatever, with music, did you know that song was a cover? Well, here's the other version of it.
Mhm.
I like my version. This is the one I heard first and fell in love with. So I think to your point, yeah, it can be like that, especially in these horror franchises where maybe you jumped in on one and you love that, and then, yeah, as you continue to explore, I like this one, or this is
Yeah.
my sensibility.
And but that keeps the franchise going, right? That's what drives it, right? The horror fans, regardless of where they're at in the generation,
Yep.
you know, you're taking like a OG me, like 1 or 2 are great, and the rest of the franchise is okay. I like 6 because he kind of got back to his roots, right? And 7, 8, 9, 10, as many as I go. I'll watch them all, and I'll still be a fan. But I'm an OG, right? But you take somebody, like you said, jumps in midstream, they jump in at 4. They love 4. That's where they cut their teeth.
It's like they talk about Doctor Who. Who's your favorite Doctor Who? Well, where would you
Yeah,
first
which
one you
one,
turn?
right, which
Yeah.
one you want to come in on?
Yeah, yeah.
1 through 20, which one you got?
Yeah, 007, right? Who's the best Bond? Well, I saw the original. I like.
I'm a Sean guy. I'm a Connery guy, right?
Yeah, Sean Connery is for me, but I saw the first. You know, depends who you saw first, sometimes,
so
or the
it's-
film you saw first.
It's so cool that horror is rocking, right? You want to see proof of that, look what Hollywood's pushing out.
Yep.
Because Hollywood, the old studio system we started in, it's dead. It's got its ass kicked. It's on life support. They're dead and they don't know it. It's like a horror movie. You know, and what do? They're regurgitating stuff they used to make money on and what are they reproducing? Horror. Because it's a moneymaker, guys.
I mean, go back even further, you talk about the studios, like what Universal was built on horror movies.
Yeah, that's where I cut my teeth.
Yeah.
I remember watching black and white horror, Universal Monsters, when I was like 4, 5.
Yeah.
Hang out with my-
Frankenstein, Wolfman,
Yes.
Dracula, all that.
I love the
That's the
original
classics,
monsters.
and now you think about the classics. When I was young, that was a classic. Now our movies are older than that when I
Yeah.
first seen them.
Yeah. And so, I was doing a list today for somebody came by, they're like, hey, what should I watch horror-wise? I'm like, good. And that's where I defaulted. I'm like,
Yep.
black and white Universal one.
Yep.
Start at the beginning, guys.
Once you get through Frankenstein, then you're good to go.
Yeah. You know, my little nephew, it's like, hey, I want to watch Godzilla. Start at the beginning.
Yep.
What was the original, you guys, what was it 1952? 54?
Somewhere there.
Somewhere there, right? The original with the subtitles.
Yep.
Yeah, I made him watch that one.
Pre
first.
Raymond Burr, yeah.
Yeah.
The old one.
Yeah.
Good
exactly.
job.
And so now he's hooked on Godzilla, but I started him at the beginning, right? Just like Star Wars. You know, technically, Star Wars was what, number 3?
Four.
Yeah. You know, that's where I started.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
You should see Creature from Molecular Doom. too.
love it.
Yeah,
My
yeah.
favorite. Love it.
All right, well, guys, we are gonna let the guys get back to their tables. If you have other questions, if you haven't had a chance to get the photos, autographs, if you just wanna meet the guys, be sure to join them downstairs. They would love to talk to each and every one of you. Before we go, though, we have a request of you guys. We're gonna get a photo with you for the convention. They'll post it on social media. So if you guys just kinda wanna fill in the space,
Yeah, come on up here, we'll do our-
we'll come
we'll
over here
do
to
a
the
group
front
shot.
side of the table. And we'll join our friends out here on the floor.
Perfect, thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, one more time, Lee Waddell, Tom Morga, and